Welcome. This is the Heroes podcast again. I'm very excited to have someone, extremely excited about someone. Anna Chen here today. How are you?
Good. Everything's good. How are you?
Well, thanks very much. Just before our move, I will introduce you and then off we roll. So, Anna Chen is a business consultant and a spiritual teacher for the past 10 years. The Business Dharma Coach, she helps heart-centered entrepreneurs build better business routines. Through her work, the Business Tarot, 22 archetypes and their career path, Anna envisions sharing the wisdom of the ancient archetypes and their applications in leadership, team building, and career development. How good is that? So show up as your real self. That's what she is teaching. Nurture great relationships, build a business you love. So when Anna is off work, she enjoys conducting and singing at church, reading and dining out with friends and family. Welcome on the show. I want to know, Anna, this was not the beginning, right? You,
No.
where did you come from? What was the struggles in your life early on? Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I started off with having my spiritual awakening really young, around 12. And the best part of that experience is that I was a spiritual child in a Muggle family, for all the Harry Potter fans out there. That my parents, they believe there's a God, but then they don't worship at all. We don't celebrate birthday, we don't worship, like New Year's Eve, we barely count down. We like 11, oh, time to go to sleep. That's the family I grew up in. And so that best part of the journey is that I have to figure it out by myself. Like I have to deal with like, oh, I'm feeling weird. I'm like getting all these messages. And do I tell people? If I tell people, typical kid stuff, they ask you like, oh, you have to prove it. And then you're like, I can't prove this. Fantastic. And so it's a lot of like identity, how to set up the identity, how do you solidify them, how do you set up boundaries? So that was like a huge part of my childhood is, I have to do this by myself because, also during that time, the woo stuff, a lot of people use it to be a scam artist, right? And so that was the best time to have that spiritual awakening and go through that journey for sure.
Was there a time in your life, Anna, when you felt, let's say, shut down, or lack of confidence, lack of self-worth, not knowing? Do you want to share some of that with us?
Yeah, definitely. And if I pinpointed, it was really during the time where I have a really great relationship with my mom now, and it didn't start it out that way. I was a child. I was the typical Asian child who were structured to live your parents' dream, right? So what ended up happening was that when I was about to enter university, a lot of the parents would, maybe not Asians, but a lot of the parents, you either be a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, something with a certification, right? And I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I ended up listening to my mom and say, okay, fine, I'll go along with it. I'll make her happy, happy wife, happy life. In my house, it's like happy mom, happy life. And so I just went along with it. And I was doing pretty well in high school. However, when I went into university, that was just not the case. I felt like I was always sitting in the class. I was listening all this. I actually love business, but I have a hard time dealing with the exam system, right? When I was having a hard time doing exams, I felt like if I study at home and then go to the exam versus go to the class and then go to exam, I would get exactly the same grade. I would still get 60 something. And I was like, then what's the point of going to class? Like, it's not like I love my classmate over there. And so I was losing a lot of confidence, and then the struggle began. I don't want to go to class. I was losing confidence. And then it snowballed into, it become a little bit like functional depression or seasonal depression because I was away from home. I was having a hard time dealing with like the friendship stuff. There was a lot of friendship stuff that was happening along the same time. And it really come down to like, I was just coasting from day to day. Like, it was just like, it's another day. I'm not doing anything special. What is the meaning of going to another day, just living like this? I wasn't suicidal, but then I was just another day. Yeah.
So what was the turning point? Like, this is as bad as it gets to live on the autopilot. And maybe there's a lot of people out there who are living that life. How did you turn this around? What was the breakout or breakthrough?
Yeah, so the really low point came about when in 2005, December to March 2006, I ended up I lost two relatives. So I lost my grandfather and my uncle in that short period of time. And then meanwhile, later on, like close to midsummer 2006, I found out my dad was also diagnosed of cancer during that period of time. So it was like really like snowballing. And then I was in a toxic relationship, hanging out with the wrong crowd. So I was on the verge of getting kicked out of my program. Like I started panic. I was like, I'm supposed to live the life that my mom wants, and I'm not living it. Right. And so I was like, oh, how do I deal with it? There's the disappointment, the rejection, the heartbreak, all mixing together. And I was reading. So one of the good things about that I kept on for the longest time, even now, is reading. And I read the book, and it says, if you want to be successful, you have to have the courage to jump off the stage in Japan. And it's the stage of Kiyomizu in Kyoto. And at that time, I went like, it's just a stage. How hard could that be? Rockstar does it all the time. It's easy peasy. So I didn't really get what the sentence was trying to say. But then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to check it out. As I researched, apparently that stage is about 4-story to 5-story high above the ground. And it was built alongside a cliff. So I was like, okay, so what is it supposed to mean? It actually means that if you want to be successful, you need to have the passion and, have the courage to risk everything, to go for it. And so that was the sort of the turning point, because I start asking myself the question, the most important question: what is the one thing I would die for? What is that one thing? What is that one thing that when I get to be 80s, 70s, 80s, I look around and then I would ask myself, what is that thing that I will wonder what would happen if I chose to go down that route? And then it got me thinking. And the answer was a surprising answer. It came out. It was like, I miss being on stage. And then I was like, okay, I miss being on stage. I sung with choirs most of my life, but then it was really surprising. That was the answer. I want to be on stage. And I have to somehow figure out how to get from where I am on the verge of getting kicked out from school to fulfill that dream. Right. And then so that's gave me a lot of motivation. Now I have that answer. And now I really have to make it happen, because I don't want to get to my 80s and wonder, what that life could be like,
I really love that, because I think a powerful, meaningful life has to come from a bird's eye view, a view from the time when we have to go. That's when the real clarity comes. And for some of us, we've gone to that place to really change perspectives and do what I believe is important. So did you finish the school at all, or did you go through mom's goal plan, or you just dropped it?
Yeah, okay. So this is where the crazy part. And then I actually wrote it in a a comp book. I don't know the long term. So I was part of the author, and I wrote, the story is called The Pursuit of Craziness. So ready for the crazy story? So I went back. So I managed to write a whole letter and then do a bunch of things to beg the school to take me back. And so I did. So I was in my 3rd year. I was almost finishing. So I finished my 3rd year. Now I'm ready for 4th year. And while I was doing that 4th year, because I realized that I want to be on stage. So I told my friend, I was like, hey, I'm going to go into the music program that we have. And my friend was like, are you insane? Like you never take any voice lessons before. I was like, I don't care. I was like, I don't care. I love singing and I know piano, but just like every other Asian girls, that was like a typical stereotype. But then piano is not my love. My love is like voice, singing. And so I told her, I don't care. I'm just going to go. And she said, okay, chill out, chill out. And she recommended a teacher. I took a year of voice lesson. And then while I was finishing up the last year of business, I finished business, auditioned, got in, and then and then there's more. So my mom really started questioning my decision because then she's like, you can just go on, become an accountant, have a stable life,
Again.
and then it's kind of like the universe trying to ask, like, are you sure you want this, right? And so so I told her, I was like, fine, I will pursue the accounting designation. I'll go for the exam and everything. It takes about a year for me because I was taking extra courses, and I'll do it while I was in business, while I was in music. So during my first year of music, which I already have about 32 class time, not including practice, homework, study, then I did this accounting certification on top of that. And I even said to her, I said, she was really worried that I was going to pursue this like starvation artist route. And so I said to her, you know what, like, I can't even move on to second year. I can't get a specialization if I don't get 70% out of music. So like, if I didn't get 70%, I'll quit, because then that proves that I'm not built for this. And then the promise on top of that was I will finish my accounting designation. I'll get it while I finish my first year. So that was the crazy part. And this is the best lesson out of it. Like when you really put your mind to it, you'll find ways. The universe help you find ways. You will find ways to get it done. Not only that, I graduated my first year with 80%, 80 something percent. And then I got my accounting designation, right? Now is the part where, what do I do next? Because now I have both. And then I have to figure a way to convince my mom to let me stay. And you know how they said that be careful what you wish for, that kind of a thing. So during my second year of music, what I found out that it was like, it was an accident. We went into like a health check routine. They found a node on my thyroid. And then like they were like, don't worry, like you just have to do the exam and then make sure that it's benign. And if it gets too big, we'll just remove it. It's not the end of the world. However, it was, I think at some point, it was because my mom heard that and she decided to fully let go and just say, you know what, stay in music, enjoy your degree, and I've checked in maybe like 2-3 times after that, but then that was it. I never had that problem anymore. So
That's the last big check-in from God. Do you want this, huh? Or
yeah,
from the
do you want
universe?
this?
I tend to see that, yeah, our decisions or commitment is being tested to,
Mm-hmm.
or let's say there are these distractions thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many, of course, with the world is really rapid and the information dumping all of these opportunities, because there's plenty, is now taking people off their own plan. And at times they do these loops of months or sometimes years to awaken and see, oh, I forgot who I am and what I want. And
Yeah.
and this is a challenge. So how did you go from that point to becoming Business Dharma Coach? I mean, I'm still wondering, how did that happen?
Yeah, so I went through music and then I did my master in conducting. So for a very long while, I was working with a large group of people, kids, adults, musicians all together. And somehow in 2018, I was getting burnout, right? Because I was doing things, again, it comes back to, I was doing things just to get by or get money, not because I truly love it. And by the time 2018, there was like this knock, like I can feel it. There was like this knock. It's like, remember that what you want to do? And then I was like, fine, what do you want? And it's like, you have to start giving out, teach other people about your spiritual journey, your spiritual knowledge, and you have to start sharing them. And so I, and then, being very, I was, because of my secret commitment to rejection, disappointment, heartbroken, I want to do things safe. And at that time, so that's what I did. And I was playing it very safe. I started like my YouTube channel. The YouTube channel was in Mandarin, and I started Instagram at that time, and I was trying it out, and I was given information sessions here in Vancouver, and somehow that really clicked with people. Somehow, after all this, I was brought back to where I was before, which is spirituality, right? All this path, hero's journey now is in a full circle. And I've realized I still love business. And I was given an opportunity to really test whether, like, how that would work out for me. So I was, and then I realized that somehow, and then there's deep down inside, what I wish for people is to realize that spirituality and business can be one. This wall that we kept putting in the middle can be blurred, and then it can be shattered if we know how to. And so later on down the road, now we're heading into 2021, that became like a really like a firm affirmation. That's what I'm committed myself into. And so when we're like deciding, what type of coach we want to be, I want to be a business coach because I love helping people making money. I was just like, I don't know what's about. I was like, that was actually part of the reason why I was okay with the business degree, because I love understand how to make money. And then, in this moment, in that moment in 2021, it was like, what? I want to help people feel good, feel about who they are, and make business, not because you have to become somebody else, but you can be who you are and earn money through it, right? And have a happy life, really. Because then I've seen, coming from the business world, I also seen a lot of people who have gone down that route where they were doing what they're good at, but spiritually they were in a really not so great place, right? And so now I'm just focusing. So that's why the Business Dharma Coach. So now it's like a full package.
Now that's powerful. One, do you see that as almost a requirement to set one up to fulfillment and a meaningful business long term?
Yeah, I think that, and then it comes back to how to live a happy life, right? And now we're just saying that part of the happy life has a business portion to it. So one thing about living a happy life is you have to really know your center, who you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, what are some of the, the hidden programming, what's your beliefs, what are the things you're saying to yourself. All that is how to live a good life. So now we get to expand that to include part of our business into it. And so, to be very honest, I think at the very beginning, as a solopreneur, you need that. You need the alignment in you so that you can align, you can pull in your business into alignment. At least in the first wave, I would say like a good 5 to 8 years, depends how fast people expand. When you have a team and a multi-layer of team, you can start, because there's going to be other people's center that you brought in. So then the business module will be slightly different, but as long as you're a solopreneur, you're a freelancer, you're your own boss, you need that alignment for sure. Yes.
So what would you say to someone who is doing business, getting results? What is the next level to really taking it as purpose, right? Is that the right word for you?
Yeah.
How can that happen? What is your magic that you bring in?
Yeah. I think if someone, so let me get it straight. So someone is doing really well in business and then they want to expand. First thing I normally would ask is that, do they understand the role that they're playing, not just for themselves now, because now we're taking the next step, right? So it's us, the society. What do you know your role in the society? What kind of role do you want to play, right? Because without knowing that, it's kind of hard to do the next step. So a lot of people, typically what a lot of people would do is they adopt a charity, as in to cooperate with the business, because they now have a cause that they want to contribute positively to a community they've chosen. So that's one way to do it. The other way is, thinking about what kind of changes do you want to bring to the society, or at least in your community. So for example, maybe is you want to push for a better after school program. Maybe is, you want people to enjoy local stores a little bit more, shop locally, right? It could be all sorts of different things. You have to understand that now you've done your part as a business owner. What's that next step to contribute to your society? And then after that is, what are you doing for your country, or maybe other people's, people living in other continents, in another country, that you can positively reinforce their life. So maybe it's a clean water program, maybe it's helping girls in Bangladesh to have a better education so that they can escape poverty, right? So there's so many other things. Now, if you look at yourself as, here's yourself, then your society, your community, your society, your country, and the world as like a global village, right? So we can choose which level we want to go into. And surely, because now you have your business to grow alongside with that, your reach will be widened, and then you'll have more possibilities lying ahead of you.
Well, I love it, because I think this is all connected to, and I sometimes even go as far as, what if the values of the business owner and the values of the business, or what they are focusing on as the most important thing, could be aligned, or could even be almost the same?
Yeah. And then, I mean, for me, it's because part of the reason why I do what I do is because sometimes it's too late for the government to start interacting, because the government is a huge body, right? It's a huge monster with all the different parts that needs to work together at the same time to get the gigantic car moving, and as a business owner, you have more mobility. You can connect with other business owner to get things rolling quicker. And so in that sense, I think that the private sector will have a different impact into certain topics. And also at the same time, I think as a business owner, we need to, we don't all have to contribute at the same level. The best part is you got yourself centered, straighten up, and do what you can do, right? Then if you feel hungry, then go for the next level. You don't have, no one has to do anything, and you don't have the responsibility. You don't need the extra responsibility, only if you want, right? That's the thing.
So tell me, where did we find out about your business, or how to connect with you? Someone is, here to learn more or get engaged with you. How to find you?
Yeah, so I have the website, and then we definitely find me through the website. And then the website has a really weird name. It's a French words and combined with wellness. So let's create wellness. And there's a reason to combine that, because part of it, I just want so first of all, I want a name to break free from the traditional view a little bit, to show that we're mixing things together. And also there's a pun line, because there's no secret to wellness. You just have to learn it. So so come and learn it. So the website for sure, let'sacquirewellness.com. Or you can type in fromdreamtobusiness.com. It'll redirect you. And also I have a freebie, and then the freebie will take you through this journey of, finding your business archetype, which you can totally apply to your personal life, because, marketing is like dating, right? Showing your value. Your sales is literally how you get people to say yes to you. We sell all the time, by suggesting which restaurant to go to, try this one, let's go out and try this activity. We're selling all the time. So sell is really like how to get people to say yes, building relationships. And then also your parenting and leadership are literally hand in hand, right? So your advisory and then your coordination, it's just a different aspect of life. So use that and then let it become like a guide for you to say, oh, okay, I'm a natural advisor. And then as a natural advisor, this is what I'm good at. And there are things that I'm not good at, and be okay with that. And if you choose to expand your horizon, of course, there's a course that can go along with that. And then you can send me an email and ask me more question about that.
Amazing. So did you say, I'm just trying to get my head around these 22 archetypes. I got hooked up on that number. So is there a test to then identify on your website which one is each person who is going through the test? How long is it?
Yeah, so then in the freebie, it's a flow chart of 9 questions. You don't go through all 9. It's because it's a flow chart. You might, it's one of those like kids game where start with question 1 and then say yes or no. You go to the flip to that page, right? So it's that concept. And then by the end, you're gonna find your major core group. So then by finding the core group, the next thing, what I would encourage people to do is if you feel hungry, you want to know exactly which type you are, come and join us at our event, because then there's a event where then I try to narrow it as much as I could for people to say, here's who you are. And then we go from there. Yeah.
Love it. I mean, I've seen a few models, definitely not number 22. And
yeah,
I feel quite in a place where I enjoy what I do, but I'm always open to look at my life through maybe a new perspective. So what would you be celebrating in 5 years' time, Anna, if things went really well?
Can you repeat the thing again?
What would you be celebrating in 5 years' time?
So I definitely would have the book ready. And in fact, the book came out so sudden that I was literally one day I was standing in front of in the bookstore in front of a shelf, and I was giggling like crazy because I can see my book there. So the book will be done. And then also at the same time, I want to launch the integrated course. So the basic course is, finding your archetype. How do you deal with it? How do you define your whole area of different archetypes? And the next integration is actually teaching people how to build a team. How do you build a team? How do you communicate with the different archetypes and then coordinate on a different level when it's a team dynamic? So that's the integration course that I want to teach. In 5 years' time, I don't know, maybe I'll be moving just like you.
Wow, where would you move to? I mean, share this.
Yeah, okay. So I don't really know what I'll be moving yet, but I'm very open to moving to, let's say, somewhere in Europe. And then I haven't really choose because I haven't been to Europe. So that was the thing. This year I'm going to Europe and I'll have more information. And also there's also the retreat that I want to do And then I want to do it in like all these spiritual centers, not centers, but like their locations spiritually charged, and has been calling to me. And so hopefully I'll be able to do some sort of a retreat to take people along with that journey. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, we might need to coordinate, because
Yeah.
as you know, I'll be hanging around somewhere in Europe along the year, and yeah, I'll share where I am or
Yeah,
my
for sure.
experiences that may help you to make that call of where you want to go. But there, it is a diverse place to experience so many things. So what would you say? Is there anything else that we haven't covered and you really wanted to share that people should know? Maybe a golden nugget or something that is so crucial that has to come from you and it got to be shared this time.
Yeah. So I think that, part of what I do, and a lot of people say, well, there's so many other personality tests out there. Why is yours different? And I think what I can say about mine is that every time I actually, based on the archetypes, I can tell this is me. This is who I am. As soon as I say the archetype, for example, I'm the high priestess archetype. So when I say to the people, it's like, you kind of have an idea of what a priestess, kind of feel like. I don't really have to go explain, oh, I'm an INFJ, and what that means is, I think that's the thing that's the special one. And this is the thing that I really want people to have, is have that clear identity without trying to memorize it. Because an identity is a free thing. You should be able to summon that feeling every time you say, this is my identity, this is who I am, these are the labels that I'm given to myself to empower myself. It should be a quick, natural things for you to spin out. And that was the biggest pet peeve I have with a lot of the personality tests out there. Is like, there's so many of them out there. When I say it, I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember a lot of them. For example, there's bank code. I think I am NKAB. And then I was like, okay, what does the N stand for? The K stand for? There's like a process. Is it too much thinking to me? Yeah, so that's the thing that I want to give to people, is that when you find your identity, and it doesn't have to be with me, it could be with anybody else, that you just feel so natural, things got summoned to you so fast that you have no doubts about being who you are, and everything you do then is just in the different situation, how do you prioritize your values and beliefs to fit into all the different situations? And I want people to have that.
So would you say when they tap into that, whatever identity comes up from those tests, and luckily it's not a computer code, but it's something that easy to grab, easy to understand, then you would be able to help them, guide them through to build their business around that core identity. Do you have the processes to do that?
Yeah. And part of it, so the good thing about really knowing yourself, and this is the things that I've learned from conducting, is that things are going to happen. No matter how great of a plan you have, how great the rehearsal was, things are about to happen on stage. And during that moment of high stress, you're excited, maybe there's a fear, maybe doubts, whatever. When you're in heightened emotions, what people do is we rely on autopilot. We rely on what we practice up to this point in life. So this is also why people say that when you're on stage, all the things that you have been saying to yourself negatively will get magnified, because that's what happened. We go into autopilot. And so with your identity, value, and your prioritization, when you're under a high stress moment, if you haven't having a clear idea of what those your priorities, identity, values, and belief, if you're not clear on those, your autopilot is going to be unclear. You're not going to perform as well as when you have a clear picture of that. And so that was the thing, is that my method is really sitting down with people and then saying, okay, here's who you are as a leader, as a coordinator, as a salesperson, as a marketing person, as an advisor. These are your profiles. And then try to help people understand that. So for example, even though I was a advisory profile, when I'm in sales, I'm actually the magician. So then I have to really remind myself, okay, I don't chase. Because then as an advisory personality, I want to help people. I want to help people because I was like, I can see how I can help you. So I chase, right? Because it's the service attitude. But then because my sales profile is actually a magician profile, I have to really say to myself, okay, don't chase. What are you going to do? And then say, magician, is providing up, having options, right? Showing people these are the possibilities that you can have, and then just allow them to come to me. So that was also something that I have to learn, is that here's my most natural profile when I'm in sales, and then be okay with it, and then learning how to walk with it. It's kind of like the pair of new heels that you try on, and you have to okay, I was out of alignment before, now I have to learn how to walk in the heels. Yeah.
I love that. There's so much depth to this. I can imagine this, that I do sometimes similar work of, taking out those incongruences. And so people could really just be themselves, to have fun and earn money. Well, that's not the case for probably 8 or 9 out of 10 people on this planet. And this is where I see it as a crucial work to reconnect people, to have an amazing experience of business and life. It was wonderful to have this conversation with you. I can't really finish it, so I might just ask you again, is there anything else that before we're wrapping up, you wanted to give as your core message? And I know you already done that, but I love your energy. I love how we're unpacking these archetypes and how much they could help one to really have a purposeful business, and maybe heart-centered as well, and no hard push. That's what I see in my mind. What else did you want to say before we say goodbye?
Of course. So I have this quote here, and I actually type it out. And part of it, I think, is coming back to be okay with who you are, because you're going to see a lot of people are going to teach you what works for them, but you have to make sure that it works for you, and be okay to, say no to things where people are like, you should do this, and be okay with it, right? And not every people are okay with, being the oddball in the room, being the black sheep. And as a solopreneur, you have to have some degree of okayness to be the black sheep and venture a little bit on that path. And so the quote goes, the most courageous act is to think for yourself out loud. Coco Chanel.
Anna, it was music to my ears, especially after the pandemic, and especially after, the being different is standing out, which is against the programming of the population. Well, Anna Chen, thank you very much for your time. I love this interview. And guys, everything else, her contacts will be under the video. Reach out to her. There's more that she could not share today. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.